What was the world's first video game? Hi, welcome to Curious Kids Every Day. I'm Josh. How are you doing today? It's so good to hear from you. Hey, does your family like to play video games? We don't play video games all the time around here, but we do enjoy them quite a bit. My kids love Minecraft, and right now they're really into Zelda. And of course, they love Mario. It's fun to share those games with my kids because some of them are games that I played when I was a kid. Back then, video games were still kind of a new thing. The idea that you could press buttons on a controller that was wired to a video game system that was attached to a TV, that was still a new concept. But what did the very first video game actually look like? Because, see, I thought I knew, but it turns out video games existed way before I was a kid in the 1980s. The 1970s and 80s were the first time that you could buy a video game system like a Nintendo and bring it into your home. But I found out that video games have existed long before then. I was thinking about this today because I got a question from a kid in the Curious Kids Club named Robbie. Robbie was curious.
Hi, my name is Robbie, and I am 7 years old. I live in Arizona. My question is, when were video games invented?
Well, there isn't actually one clear answer to this question. See, that's because early electronic games were very different from the games we play today. Some used computers, while others used simpler electronic circuits. Some created their entire picture electronically, while others needed printed pictures placed over the screen. Yep, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So people don't really agree what was the first actual video game. But let's talk about how video games evolved over time to get a clearer picture of how we went from a world without computers to one where we can play video games on a handheld device. Okay, let's take our time machine and go back to the 1940s. Yep, we're going back around 80 years ago, because this is our first candidate for what the first video game could actually be. We're going to talk about the Cathode-Ray Tube Amusement Device. This was created by two fellas named Thomas Goldsmith Jr. and Estill Ray Mann. They filed a patent for it in 1947, and it was granted in 1948. The amusement device used a cathode ray tube, which was a type of electronic screen. A player turned controls to guide a glowing dot along a curved path. The goal was to make the dot reach a target. However, the targets were printed pictures placed over the screen. So you had to print out a piece of paper and put that paper on the screen in order to see the full map, I guess. The machine didn't create those target pictures electronically. And also, this game was not run on a computer. But it was something you played on a screen, and it was controlled with a controller, so we could call the Cathode Ray Tube Amusement Device the very first game. Or we could jump ahead to 1951. Our next candidate for the first video game ever was a large computer called Nimrod that played a strategy game called Nim. Players made choices, and rows of lights showed what was happening. Nimrod demonstrated a computer's ability to make decisions because the player played the game against the computer. So it was a game, and it was a computer program, but it didn't display moving pictures. It wasn't played on a screen. Okay, we're getting closer. Let's jump ahead another year to 1952. This was the year that Alexander Douglas created OXO at the University of Cambridge. Can you think of a game that involves X's and O's? Yes, tic-tac-toe. OXO was an electronic version of tic-tac-toe that ran on an enormous computer called EDSAC. A player selected a square using a rotary telephone dial. Ask your parents if they know what a rotary telephone dial is. Basically, instead of dialing a phone number on a screen, you had, how do I even describe a rotary telephone dial? You basically had this circle and you had to spin the dial to go to the number that you wanted. You had to do this over and over to dial a telephone number. So your controller was basically a rotary telephone dial, and the game board appeared on a small screen. Douglas created this as a part of his research into interactions between humans and computers, and only a small number of people could use the machine. But it was a game that was played on a screen with a controller run on a computer. OXO might be the one, though it was just for research and hardly anyone got to play it. So let's jump ahead again to 1958, because that was the year tennis for two was invented. That's where we find a physicist named William Higginbotham. He created the game at Brookhaven National Laboratory. He wanted to give visitors something entertaining to do during the laboratory's annual Visitors' Day. Two players used separate controllers to hit a glowing dot back and forth over a line representing a tennis net. The game appeared on an oscilloscope, which is a tool used to display electrical signals as lines and dots. Unlike the earlier Cathode-Ray Tube Device, Tennis for Two displayed its court, its net, and its moving ball electronically. This game was built for entertainment, and lots of people got to try it. In fact, hundreds of visitors waited in line to give it a go. But here's where things start to get very interesting, because our next game we're going to talk about is called Spacewar. Created by Steve Russell and other programmers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1962. Two players controlled spaceships. They fired torpedoes and tried to avoid a star in the center of the screen. Okay, now that's definitely a video game. That sounds like something we might still play today. But here's what was cool about Spacewar. Spacewar was copied onto computers at other universities and research centers. This helped it become one of the first computer games to spread beyond the place where it was created. Imagine you made your own video game, and then a few weeks later, you run into somebody you don't know, and they've played your video game. That's probably what it was like to be Steve Russell and his team after they made Spacewar. And since Spacewar is definitely a video game, we'll end our search there. But any of the games we discussed today could be called the world's first video game. It just depends how exactly you want to define what a video game is. Which one would you say it is? Okay, let's have a quick quiz and see what we learned today. In what year was the patent for the Cathode-Ray Tube Amusement Device filed? It was in the year 1947, and it was granted the next year in 1948. What did an OXO player use to select a square? Remember, the controller was a rotary telephone dial. And why did William Higginbotham create Tennis for Two? He was trying to entertain the visitors at Brookhaven National Laboratory. All right, let's play true or false. True or false? Nimrod displayed its game using moving pictures. No, that's false. It used rows of fixed lights. True or false? OXO ran on a computer called EDSAC. That is true. True or false? Spacewar was created in 1962. That is true too. It was the first video game to spread past the place it was invented. Would you rather make your own video game or build your own computer? Ooh, both of these sound fun, but I already know how to build my own computer. I would have to learn how to make a video game, so I'll choose to make my own video game. That way I'm getting to learn a new skill. All right, let's play a round of What Am I? What am I? I am used to observe electrical signals. I can display glowing lines and dots. And Tennis for Two used me as its screen. What am I? I am an oscilloscope. So several inventions could be called the world's first video game. The Cathode-Ray Tube Amusement Device is the earliest in the timeline, but OXO was one of the earliest games displayed on a computer screen. And Tennis for Two was created specifically to entertain its players. But Spacewar in 1962 helped computer games spread to other places. Video games have come a long way since the 1940s. And here I was thinking that Pong was the first video game. Oh, what's Pong? Well, I'll let your grown-up explain that one to you. Actually, at this point, you should probably ask your grandparents about Pong. Wow, video games really have been around a long time now. What kind of question do you think we'll ask tomorrow on Curious Kids Every Day? I can't wait to find out. So until then, keep asking questions and stay curious, kids. And some of the kids in the Curious Kids Club have birthdays today. These kids turn 1 today. Eli from Alaska, happy birthday, Eli. And Claire from Montana, happy birthday, Claire. Mia from Minnesota is turning 2. Happy birthday, Mia. Eliza Jane from Michigan is turning 3. Happy birthday, Eliza Jane. These kids are turning 5 today. Noah from Georgia, happy birthday, Noah. Leo from Massachusetts, happy birthday, Leo. Ziggy from Utah, happy birthday, Ziggy. And Remy from California, happy birthday, Remy. And then these kids are turning 6 today. Ooh, lots of kids turning 6 today. Ada is from Texas, happy birthday, Ada. Georgia is from Pennsylvania, happy birthday, Georgia. Sawyer from Colorado, happy birthday, Sawyer. Anderson from Burlington, Ontario, Canada, happy birthday, Anderson. Jeb from Arizona, happy birthday, Jeb. Ruthie from Virginia, happy birthday, Ruthie. Makoa is turning 6 as well, happy birthday, Makoa. And Nina from Washington, happy birthday, Nina. These kids are turning 7 today. Micah from Tennessee, happy birthday, Micah. And Odin from Arizona, happy birthday, Odin. These kids are turning 8 today. Ooh, 2 from Australia. Will from Melbourne, happy birthday, Will. And Selena from Sydney, happy birthday, Selena. Marcus from New Zealand is turning 10 today. Happy birthday, Marcus. And then these kids are turning 11 today. Nora from Kentucky, happy birthday, Nora. And Amar and Aaron from Malaysia. Happy birthday, Amar and Aaron. To all the grown-ups listening, if your curious kid wants their birthday mentioned on the show, please visit supportcuriouskids.com and join the Curious Kids Club. That's supportcuriouskids.com. See you tomorrow!